joke now. I'm gonna start calling myself the local Uber driver. It's Wednesday. You know, it's kind of weird, but this week has just turned a corner for me from really terrible to pretty good, and nothing specifically has changed. I mean, there has definitely been some changes, but I mean, in terms of life circumstances, work, all that stuff is pretty much the same. It's just a few things mentally that I worked on that have made me feel significantly better than how I was feeling early in the week, like Sunday, Monday. Oh, can I make this light? Ooh. Okay, so I made this title. I don't remember what I made the title, but the title is basically about meeting people where they are, having limits. Somebody weaponized that term against me of meeting people where they are. I happen to be a very deeply empathetic person, and it's not just because I was born like that. There was a time I was not so empathetic, but I've had time periods in my life where I was humbled. I had time periods of my life when things were like really, really good for me on many fronts. A lot of friends, a pretty good amount of financial gain. I was doing a lot of things that I loved. It was just a good time in my life, and I went from that time to experiencing terrifying agoraphobia, panic disorder, and anxiety disorder, and severe depression, where I didn't leave my house for almost a year. I wasn't doing one thing. I was in my bed almost all day, unless I had to eat or use the bathroom or something. I was in my room having panic attacks. And I was not working at that time, obviously. I was depending on people to help me, take care of me, all of that stuff. Good morning, Lisa. So that was a really humbling and hard time in my life. So because probably somewhat because of having that experience, it has, when I got out of that, I felt like if I see people who are experiencing even similar circumstances, it didn't even have to be the exact same. Like if they were having physical health challenges, mental health challenges, both, if people had some kind of learning disabilities, or if there was just things about them that the average person didn't experience, or it could even be, good morning, Colleen and Lisa, if I didn't say that. I think I said good morning to you, Lisa, already. So, yeah, so what I was saying is like, if people had things that made it harder for them in life, basically, everybody's life has circumstances that make life hard for them, but beyond the average set of life circumstances. I have an extreme amount of empathy for people, but the problem is, because of that extreme amount of empathy, I've allowed people over the years and over time to take advantage of that empathy or sympathy that I feel on that extreme level, because I sit here and I always rationalize, where is this person coming from? Where are these comments coming from? Where is this reaction coming from? And you get into that game too much, and then you get stepped over. Because if you're always thinking about why the other person is doing it, and you're never saying this should not be done, then that line gets pushed and pushed and pushed. So here's an example. You can actually be somebody who has some kind of severe mental health struggle, as an example, but you could still know a button that you're pushing. You can be somebody who has some kind of handicap, and you can still be a manipulator. You can be somebody who has some kind of challenging background in life, and you use that as your pass to be able to treat people anyway, to be able to talk to people anyway, and etc. And I jumped into a work field where that's my whole clientele. And there have been certain things that have happened at work, as an example. I always go to work as an example because I don't like to use personal examples as much. Occasionally I'll do that, but I like to use my work examples better, especially if it's jobs that I am not currently at. And it's a job that I haven't been at in years. And I remember somebody walked up to me one day outside and called me a derogatory term, just flat out. They called me that a derogatory term, and I responded, and I was like, "What did you call me?" Not even expecting, not expecting what they said, obviously, but not expecting them to be so bold in repeating it. And they said, "I called you such and such." They repeated it loud in front of a bunch of people. And I knew what I wanted to say as a reaction, but I was like, you know what? I'm in a professional environment, so I don't want to respond a certain way and then have this way, good morning, Tasha, have this way impact my means, my income, and my way to live. So I actually went up to my boss and I was like, hey, when we were standing outside, such and such called me this. The response of my boss was to kind of laugh a little bit, kind of chuckle. And I was like, there ain't nothing funny about what this thing that was said to me. It was not funny. So she basically tells me in a nutshell, I can talk to this person for you, Mark. I can let them know that we're not allowed to use those terms. But unfortunately, you're probably not going to get the outcome that you want. And within this field, she said, I've been in this field for a long time, way longer than you've even been on this earth. And I've heard many things, some of them even worse than what you're talking about. This particular person was a Jew, and she had heard, a lot of things. Holocaust, there was certain things that she told me that people had said to her in the work setting that she had to learn to let go of. I'm built a little bit different than that. Within a work setting, obviously we have a little bit less leeway, to be able to say what we want to say as a response. Because in my life, take work out of it and take the internet out of it, it's just a straight zero tolerance policy. I'm not somebody who really gives somebody a second and third chance. It depends. It's not that black and white, because I have had times where this person is a very close friend, very close long-term friend, a family member or something, and in a particular case, I feel like they're not seeing the offense in what they've said. So I will actually take the time. This is how I am in general, though. I'm not even gonna act like I'm some tough, hard person who just, you're cut off, you're cut off, you're cut off. Because I know people who will just clean cut you off. My solution is always, let me reach out and have a conversation directly. If this is somebody worth reaching out to, that's what I'm saying. The average person might not get this, but if it's someone I actually care about and I feel like this is something that can be changed through educating them on the offense or, the boundary that was passed, I will reach out and I will say, hey, I feel this way about this. Let's have a discussion about it. They don't want to have a discussion about it. It's over. That's it. Sometimes they will have the discussion. They don't agree. I don't agree with what they said. We move on from there. But best case scenario, they actually talk it through, because that's the way that I handle everything. They actually talk it through with me, and we come to some kind of a mutual understanding, and we go from there. Prince, they said that you disappeared. What's up, man? So anyways, it's definitely a difficult thing to balance, Lisa, because I do still empathize with everybody's background. I know everybody comes through different backgrounds. Everyone has different circumstances. As an example, right? I'll give you another example that does not relate to me. I went into a McDonald's one night. I have a McDonald's nearby my house. I have about 20 more minutes. It's too long of a topic, unfortunately. I realized that when I started it. But anyways, I have a McDonald's by my house. And I remember I went into McDonald's like 11 something at night. It's the only thing open. If you come home late, there's no other excuse me. There's no other food place excuse me, nearby. So I remember we went in there. There was like 2 registers open. And it's me, there's a couple of other people in there. So there's maybe there's more than a couple. Maybe there's like 5 or 6 of us in there. So the first person that was at the front of the line went to the register to make their order. The cashier said, "I'm sorry, the register is frozen right now. It's going to take 5 minutes to reset." And that person had on like work scrubs, like they just came from a hospital or something. So I think that they were just frustrated, hangry maybe, and they had just come off probably an 8 or 12-hour shift, and then they came off the bus and they were just trying to get their McChicken and fries or whatever, their double cheeseburger. And then they were like, "What you mean the register has to be reset and I had to wait 5 minutes? There's another register right over there. So just use the other register and ring up my food." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I don't think that the cashier said anything rude. So the cashier was just like, "We all have different codes on our register, and it would take time anyways for me to swipe into that one and then wait for that one to boot up and whatever, so we have to wait for this one." That lady went off on her. "You're incompetent." She got on Facebook. She picked up the phone. She went on Facebook Live. It was one of those things like what you see on the internet. "What's your name? Let me see your badge. What's your name?" Let's just say the person's name is Jamie McNair. "This is Jamie McNair here," and zooms in on the badge. She's incompetent. I asked her to ring up my double cheeseburger and fries. She told me it's going to take 5 minutes to reset the cash register. There's another register open right there that nobody is on. So she doesn't want to open up that register because she wants to make all of us, I think I ended up in that video because I was one of the people in the line. She wants to make all of us inconvenienced by making us stand in this line and wait for this effing register to reset. And I was like, whoa. Because I'm thinking to myself, if this happens to me, right? I mean, we've seen those videos online. This could turn into one of those McDonald's fights. It didn't, because they were like, "I didn't do anything wrong. You can put me on whatever platform." I'm a little bit different than that. This is what I'm trying to say. Like, you, in a situation where somebody comes at you like that, they're calling you incompetent and they're wanting you to apologize, and you're not wrong. It's hard. It's hard when you're in an environment that is not your outside environment. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody approaches you a certain type of way in the street, you can respond however you want to respond. There's no responsibility or obligation. Obviously, don't break the law. I'm not saying like you fight them or you hurt them or you do something like that. I'm just saying verbally, you can respond the way that you feel comfortable responding. But you have that you have that badge around your neck and you are on the clock getting paid or and representing either yourself or the brand. Like for instance, if I was talking about my page, I'm representing my own personal brand. Like, no, I don't have a boss. No, I don't have somebody who. But I've seen people get on their lives and their channels and say wild things to them in the chat, and then when they start responding in kind, they lose their channel or they get a strike because they're responding in a way that is against community standards. So the person who's in the chat, calling them whatever names they want to call them or saying whatever they want to say about them, right? They can do that because there's nothing for them to lose because it's not their channel. They're not depending on that channel for anything. It's like, you're my entertainment for right now, and if I get you out of character and you start wiling out on me and spazzing on me, you're the one who is at risk in this situation. And if you lose your channel, cool, I'll just go to another channel and do the same thing. So it's a delicate balance. I wish I could read these comments, but I'm not able to. I'll read them when I stop though. But it's a delicate balance between empathizing, sympathizing, and letting people know that respecting you is important, because that's the way that I always deal with things. When somebody comes to me and tells me, Mark, you don't understand because this is my circumstance, I'm willing to listen. I don't have a problem with listening because there are circumstances that I just don't understand. I've had people tell me about some of them, explain them to me. Hey, when I said this to you, I was coming from a place of this, and these are my life circumstances. And I'm like, you know what? I had a reaction based on just at face value of what you said to me. But in those cases, it actually requires a humility. It requires a humility on everybody's end, a humility on the person to say, like, it came out this way, but it wasn't meant this way, and a humility on your own end to be like, you know what? I could have asked you where you were coming from. If he sends a genuine interest in understanding. Yeah. That is true, because it takes two to tango, because am I tripping, or scrambled eggs, fried chicken? I don't know what that has to do with the topic, but okay. Yeah, I was trying to catch up on the comments when I was at a red light. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, once you let the boundary get crossed once, sometimes it's a test. Because I know people in my life who, they don't let you cross the boundary more than once. There is no test. You get one time to fail, and then it's a wrap. I know someone like that right now that is currently not my friend because it was like, there's no test. The test is each and every day and each and every moment, and if you fail that test any day, you're gone. But some people do soft boundary tests where it's like, let me see what this person is going to allow. And if you allow it the first time, then a bigger situation comes about, and they were like, this person allowed it that time, so I can do it again. And then the boundary line started here, now it's here, now it's here, now it's here, here, and it doesn't exist. And then it doesn't exist for them, but for you, you are continuously feeling a way about your boundaries being tested and pushed and pushed and pushed to those limits. And then you might get to a point where you have a reaction finally. The reaction is disproportionate to the actual offense, to the other person. And the reason why it's disproportionate to the offense is because you didn't say anything all these other times. You didn't say anything the first time, the second time, the 10th time, the 15th time, the 35th time, the 75th time. The 76th time, you snap and you're like, I am over this. And you just go off, right? And to them, they're like, that was nasty, or that wasn't kind, or I don't understand why this person is talking to me this way. So that's why I've gotten to a point in life. I mean, in my life, I already got to this point years ago, but in my professional life, I think I'm referring to more so than in my personal life. Appreciate it. This sweater was a gift some time ago. But yeah, in my professional life, that's why I'm learning the delicate balance between those lines. I'm not on the extreme side of that boss that I was talking about, who was just like, you got to meet people where you are. You got to just understand where they're coming from. My alteration to that is that you have got to know where the person is coming from, understand where the person is coming from. But just because the person is coming from a place of hurt or a place of pain or a place of struggle does not mean that you are supposed to be anybody's punching bag. You know, I had a situation with a client very recently where I got to their house late. Said I was going to get there at such and such time. There was traffic. I got there 15 minutes later. I called them. I'm like, I'm running late. They went off on this phone on me. I'm not one of your other clients. I don't know how you deal with the rest of them, but I have important things to do, yada, yada, yada. And this is a nice version of it. She was actually spazzing out and cursing at me. She was dropping the phone book on me, honestly. And my instincts were to respond in kind, but that lanyard around my neck that says X company was like, okay, I know that the company always treats the client as the correct person in any scenario. So I had to actually navigate this without them. I had to figure out how to handle this myself. So what I did was I told her, like, can we please talk about this when I get there? She agreed to that, which I was thankful for, because I was like, I can't sit and listen to too much more of this without getting outside of myself here, or without really being my real self outside of here. I got in there. I told her, I'm sorry that I was late to this appointment. I did call you and let you know that the reason that I'm late is because this other appointment with this other client ran a little bit late and there was traffic on my way to you. So unfortunately, I was not able to get to you at the time that I promised you. I'm sorry about that. I agree. I understand that your time is valuable. But the way that you conveyed that to me, I didn't like that. I was like, I will always talk to you respectfully, and that's the only thing that I expect in return. Respect for respect. You can always voice displeasure with anything. Anything that I do, you can voice your displeasure, but in a respectful manner. And I didn't know how that was going to be received. But the thing is, if the person was just like continuing on the way that they were on and they didn't receive it well, and then they went to complain to me, I'd be willing to stand on that. If they went to my boss and complained and was like, oh, he said that he was going to show up this time, and then he showed up this other time that was not what we agreed upon. And then when I told him that I was mad, he said, oh, you can't speak to me like that. And then if they came and said, is that what happened? I would say that's exactly what happened. Because if a job was willing to let go of me or reprimand me for that, I would stand on that all the way to the end. And if I had just been like, I'm sorry, this person that is unfavorable, that they think is my fault, I'm going to get reamed out in a similar fashion. But because I set the ground rules the first time, I think that I'm not saying it's never going to happen again, but I'm saying that it's much less likely for me to experience that scenario, that exact same scenario in that same way. And even if I did, I would remind them, hey, can you tone it down just a little bit? I used to bank on the fact that my reaction would be a clear hint. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it is not. People don't take hints. I learned that myself. People don't take hints. You have to, like, maybe a few people do, but a lot of people you have to just be flat out and direct. I'm not super comfortable. Well, it's not. You see, I used to think about comfortability with people that I'm close to, but then it's like, what is worse for you? The confrontation and the conflict that might come from the confrontation, or the way you feel from the thing that they are doing that upsets you? Would you rather continuously have them do that thing, or like, I forgot what somebody called this, sacrificing temporary comfort for long-term turmoil? I think it was something to that effect, because the thing that they're doing is going to be long-term, and the conflict that you have in that moment is going to be in that moment. And even if it's something that extends and they're upset with you about expressing yourself, your feelings, and your boundaries, even if it happens to be that, what's worse, them just not wanting to deal with you, or them being around and continuously pushing you to your limits? That's the way that I always feel. I actually have a boundary setting presentation that is all written out. It's been written out for 2 years. There was reasons it wasn't delivered, but I really want to revisit that presentation. I wrote it out with a few friends. I wrote it out, but then I had a few friends look at it and say it was brilliant and say that they want to contribute. And for reasons of one particular person, this thing didn't come out, but it will come out. I have a lot of things about this topic in there. Let things pile up and explode. That used to be my specialty. It is sometimes still at work, but not personally. A lot of people want sympathy or a punching bag of looking for solution-oriented approaches. If they can't control the things in their own life, they look at times to lash out. Yeah, and that's so true, especially in my job. The people that are my clientele, there's so many things that are out of control. They're housing, they're trying to apply for housing, they're trying to apply for SSI, SSD benefits, they're trying to apply for SNAP, Medicaid, and they're waiting. They have to get all these things filled out, they have to talk to lawyers, they have to go see their psychiatrist, and then they have to wait. They get on these wait lists. So it's like, I can't control anything in my life, but you coming at 11 o'clock instead of 10:45, like you said, I'm in control of your time. Like, you work for me. That's the way that they feel. And I can understand that, but it still does not make it okay for you to talk to me that way, because I am here doing you a service that frankly that I don't get paid enough to do. Not that it's about money, but sometimes it's about money for real. 30 years. It's so crazy how there's so many of you in this chat, and my thing shows me one person. Like, YouTube is playing me. I'll have like 10, 12, 15 comments in my chat at a time, and it shows me a 1 in terms of viewers and a 3 in likes. If you're in here, please hit the like button, because YouTube does things for you when they take away your monetization. They really do. The other day I had a really nice video. where I had all these new people and new subscribers, and then the video didn't even post, and it had the most views that I've had on this channel in a long time. I have a friend like that. For 30 years, she only wants attention, not so. Yeah, that's the other thing. There's a saying that goes, don't wrestle with pigs, because you both get dirty and the pigs like it. And it kind of reminds me of a conversation I had with Ben Hoot, yesterday or maybe the day before that, where it's just like, you have to know the goal behind the person who is starting the confrontation with you. Sometimes the goal is to get you to be upset. So it doesn't really matter what you say, what they say. If they see that you're upset, goal is accomplished, mission accomplished. You could go in there seeking solutions, and they were never seeking solutions. And if you can't recognize that they were never seeking solutions and they were only seeking to cause a problem and to make you feel miserable, make you feel upset, then you get in this rabbit hole of just back and forth. And for them, they walk away, they're cool, because that's their baseline. They're not somebody who had a real problem. They're just somebody who wanted to. They looked at you as somebody, especially somebody like me, who is not somebody who has a lot of conflicts like that in my real life. And it's like, I see you and I want to take you down here to my level so that we can experience some of the same things. She never really got, hints. Oh yeah, Lisa, don't bring that friend to me. Remember you made that joke? I'm setting that boundary. I don't want to be introduced to that friend. I don't want to know that friend. She can find her own friendship network in New York. Just to let you know. Okay. I'm still not learning that enough. I'm going to be able to read these in a second, because I'm just now trying to find parking, which is like, oh man, needle in a haystack in this area. I'm aware, but I haven't really put it into action. I'm too comfortable letting people think it's me and just not talking anymore. Sometimes I don't like this term, but I have found my voice in recent years. So I experienced that problem much less than I used to. Because I used to be the person who's like, oh, let everybody think that Mark's the problem, because it's easier than trying to fight and advocate for myself, But I would rather advocate for myself all day. You can think whatever you think of me advocating for myself versus me letting you just do and say whatever. Never talk about politics. Now I went back out to, but politics is generally a tough one. Sorry about that, y'all. I'm just trying to hit this parking spot because I have to run in. Okay, I'm basically done because I have to run into this hospital, but I'm gonna read these for like 5 minutes, 2 minutes, because we are already at 9:52. Time is limited. Yeah, politics. Yeah, because, and then the thing is, politics is a divisive topic. So I'm not gonna say I never talk about politics, but I have certain criteria before I talk about politics. Number one, I mostly do it in person or on the phone because context is so lost via text and online platforms. And then I have to know the people who I'm talking to also. Yeah, I'm an excellent mediator for other people too. I'm depended on to be a mediator. I want to ask people flat out. Oh yeah, I had somebody ask me that one time when I was having a huge conflict at my old job, and they said to me, "Before I respond, I have to ask you a question. Do you want somebody to listen to you? Do you want somebody to support you? Or do you want somebody to give you an unbiased opinion where I provide you potential solutions?" I was mind blown by that because actually, I think at that point in time, I just wanted to vent. But then I was like, it put like a certain onus in my hands because I was like, venting is not really, I've vented enough. So venting is not really doing anything for me. So the third option, while it was not really what I wanted, it was the most useful thing out of the three things presented to me. So I was like, contrary to what I really feel like I want, I'm going to take option 3. All right. That's funny, Lisa. I think the challenging thing is people use psych terms to weaponize conversation. Paulina's use of her leg now. Nice. Glad it healed up. If people get crazy about Big Brother, people ran to me on the phone in real life. I need to tell them to stop because I don't need to hear their crazy thoughts. I like your sweatshirt hoodie. Thank you. Time to kick Christmas to the curb. I'm not always active, but I am here. True. Good to see you on here, Van Hoot. I know you haven't been on this chat in a while. I know you pop in here and you say hi, but it's the first time you've been in deep in one of these conversations in a while. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. It's Wednesday, so I'm going to be on my other channel at some point today in the evening. But this is a great topic, and I have to run. So please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. All that good stuff. Talk to you later.